Hello, Mr. Fry's Algebra 1 class. I'm taking a look at this factoring trinomials with leading coefficient 1. And let me see, the name of that assignment is actually just factoring worksheets. So this is called factoring worksheet. If you're missing this and you need it done, this is the one. This is the one you need. So let me go and put this on the back. I want to tell you what this is all about. Thinking about it backwards is actually a little bit easier. So if you take a binomial and you multiply a binomial, you're going to get a thing called a trinomial. So remember, double distribution, you're going to multiply the first times the first. That gives you m squared. The outsides give you plus m. That would be 1m. I could put a 1 there. I don't have to put a 1 there. And the insides are going to be 8m. And then the lasts are going to give you 8. Okay? So 8 times 1 would be 8. So I combine my like terms and I get this, which is a trinomial. So what you're doing is we're going to be taking trinomials and we're going to be factoring them out and making them into these binomials. So this is the one that we got. So we're just going to think of FOIL backwards. So what we want to do is we want to think of a number that when we multiply, this back here is going to be what we're thinking of when we multiply, and this is when we add two numbers together. So we want factors of 8 that when we multiply two numbers, we get 8, but when we add them, we get 9. So notice, you could multiply 4 and 2 and get 8. But when we add 4 and 2, we would get 6. So if this was a 6m, then we would go with 4 and 2. But since this is 8 and a 9, we would go, 8 times 1 gives you 8. 8 plus 1 gives you 9. Okay. Taking a look at this one, two numbers that we multiply in order to get 80, but we add and get negative 18 is going to be negative 10 and negative 8. Number 5, I forgot something. I made a plus when I should have made a minus. Two numbers you multiply and you get negative 28, but when you add them together, you get a positive 3. So you got to think about this one. So this, whenever this last thing is negative, that means one is going to be positive, one is going to be negative, because you multiply two numbers together. A positive and negative will give you a negative. Okay, when you're thinking about what you're going to multiply to get that 28. So I know it's going to be 7 and 4, but I know one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. How do I figure out which one's going to be positive, which one's going to be negative? Well, when you add them, you're going to get a positive 3. Well, that means my bigger number needs to be the positive. So I have positive 7 and then minus 4. That would give me a positive 3. Moving on to number 7. Negative 9 times a negative 3 gives me a positive 27. When I add these together, now when this is positive and this is negative, that means both of these are going to be negative. Because a negative 9 minus 3 gives me a negative 12. Moving on, number 9. And hopefully you're pausing this as we go forward and work on the even ones as much as possible. I'll try to do a couple of those with you too. So two numbers I multiply to get 6 would be 6 and 1, and when I add them together I get negative 7, so that means both of these are going to be negative. So negative 6 minus 1 gives me negative 7. Two numbers I multiply to get negative 7, and this is negative, so my bigger number is going to be negative, so 7 and 1. 54, I have 8 times 7 gives me 54. And if I make them both negative, negative 8 and minus 7 gives me negative 15. So 2 wouldn't work here, but 4 and 1 would. And if I make the 4 the positive 4 minus 1 gives me a positive 3. 16, I could have went 8 and 2, but 8 plus 2 gives me 10. If this was 10, that would work, but this is 8, so I got to go with 4 and 4. So 4 times 4 gives me 18. 4 plus 4 gives me 8. 4 times 2, a negative 4 times a negative 2 gives me a positive 8. And if I take negative 4 minus 2, that gives me negative 6. If I take a negative 10 times a positive 7, that gives me negative 70. And if I take a negative 10 plus 7, it gives me a positive 3. All right, just grabbing a couple. Let's look at this one right here. I'm going to split this up, thinking of FOIL backwards, what I showed you at the beginning of this video. And so this is going to be negative, so that means one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. The bigger one's going to be positive because this is a plus. So I'm going to go 7 and 5. 7 times 5, so 7 is bigger. So positive 7 times a negative 5 gives me negative 35. Positive 7 minus 5 gives me positive 2. Let's go. This one will be an easy one. And both positive, so this is going to be both positive. Two numbers I multiply, get 50, add and get 15. That's going to be 10 and 5. And might as well do the last one. Do a bonus one here. So this could be V, and this could be V. So one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. The bigger one's going to be positive to make this positive. So I'm going to have a positive, I'm going to have a negative. And so let's see, what would be 40? 8 and 5, but that's only a difference of 3, so that would be positive 3. We got to go with a 6. So I wonder what 15, no, 15 doesn't work. Oh, 10. Let's go 10 and 4. This is a positive 10 minus 4. It gives me a positive 6. Positive 10 times negative 4 gives me a negative 40. And there's that one. All right, there's some factoring for you. I hope that really helps, and good luck with the other ones. Go ahead and just try them out and make mistakes and correct them, and you're doing fine.